Hello everyone, this will be chapter 49 of The Second to Life of the Guardian, written and read by Insect Overlord. This chapter is titled Shopping for Normalcy, and has content warnings for breakdown/flashback of sorts, but it's pretty mild. Eri resisted the urge to kick her dangling legs, too nervous it would draw the attention of the other passengers. Instead, she sat between her mother and sister with a quiet stillness uncharacteristic of a 3-year-old child. She watched the person across from her warily. He was tall, though everyone felt tall to her, she supposed. He had horns like she did, only his didn't remind her of a unicorn. They looked more like the horns of a dragon, and Eri could even see smoke coming out of his nose. The dragons in her storybooks liked to kidnap princesses, and Eri's mom called her a princess. She squeezed Izuku's hand and hoped this man wouldn't try to kidnap her. Today was her first time riding in a train. She'd lived with her family for a few months already, but still almost never left the house, and when she did, her family typically took their car to avoid the crowds. But Yoshida had been pushing Eri to try new things. She said it would help her anxiety. Eri thought that was stupid, but she didn't tell Yoshida that because that would be mean. She was scared, but Izuku said it was okay to be scared sometimes. She even said she was scared sometimes. Eri offered to hold Izuku's hand on the ride so her sister would feel better. Her mom said they were going shopping for school supplies, so she could start preschool. The school year had already started, but classes before grade school were basically just glorified daycares, so her parents were able to get her enrolled late without much fuss. She brought one of her fingers, not covered by her gloves, to her mouth to chew her nails. She didn't like the idea of being away from her family for so long. Izuku went to school, and she said it was fun. She said Eri would get to play lots of games and make friends. But Eri didn't want to make friends. She wanted to stay home forever. The train is approaching Musatafu Shopping District. All passengers bound for Musatafu Shopping District, please prepare for departure. Inko wrapped an arm around Eri's shoulders as the train slowed to a stop to keep her from falling off her seat. "All right, don't let go of my hand, sweetie," she said softly, before leading the way out of the rail car and through the bustling station. Eri tried her best to take in her surroundings, paying close attention to the people walking far too close, but most of her effort was spent trying to keep up with her mom and sister. Even with them going slower for her, everyone else had such long legs, it was a little frustrating. Her mom must have been paying more attention than Eri thought, because she scooped her up as soon as she started to get tired. She hid her face in her mom's neck as she was wrapped in her arms, choosing to focus on the strawberry scent of her shampoo instead of the pounding of her heart. Izuku was chattering about things they were shopping for, and Eri hesitantly accepted the distraction. "You need a backpack, notebooks, writing utensils, and a bento box. Also a few other things, but those are the main ones. You need a uniform too, but we'll get that directly from the school, so don't worry too much." Eri puffed her cheeks in pride at the list. She knew what all of those things were. The first store they went to was quieter than Eri expected. There were a few people, but not nearly as many as at the train station. Maybe this wouldn't be as hard as she thought it would. After the third store, Eri took back that thought. They'd been here for what felt like days, but according to Izuku, was only an hour. They'd already bought so many things that both her mom and Aniki's hands were too full to pick her up. "This is the last one, I promise," Inko said. It better be, because if she was wrong, then Eri was going to pour glitter in her underwear drawer. Plague taught her that trick. "We need to grab you smock and a few changes of clothes." "I have clothes, though," she grumbled as her mom pulled another shirt off the shelf. Honestly, she had a problem. Maybe she could convince her sister to stage an intervention with her. That's what they did in Princess Unicorns when Purple Sparkles couldn't stop eating everyone's cake. Maybe it would work for her mom. "Ooh, this one's cute. You should try it on," Inko said, holding up a plain white dress she'd taken from the bottom rack. Eri frowned, but picked up one of the dresses. She didn't think it was cute. It didn't have any sparkles or frills. If anything, it looked like the dresses she used to wear before. Overhaul would make her change into a new one every day. He said he didn't want her to be dirty, but it was his fault she got blood on them in the first place. He never helped her either. It was hard for her to maneuver her uncoordinated limbs into the right holes of the fabric and tie the string on the back. Oftentimes, the tie would be sloppy and he would make her do it again, but he'd never help. Eri slipped off her shirt and pants and threw the dress over her head. She tried to arrange her arms in the right places, but somehow her left hand ended up in the head hole and her right hand had nowhere to go. "Whoa, Eri, what are you doing?" her mom asked, dropping down in front of her, hands hovering in the air, unsure. Izuku was behind her with a confused look on her face. "We don't change in the middle of the store." Eri froze. I, she stuttered, looking around for some place to hide. No, she couldn't hide. Overhaul didn't like it when she ran away. "I can fix it," she promised, resuming her attempts to get her arms and head where they were supposed to go. "No, hey, wait a second," her mom said, voice calm. "It's all right. You don't need to fix it. Do you want some help?" "No!" Overhaul never gave her help. That's not how this worked. Eri was supposed to fix it herself, or she'd get in trouble. She gave up her attempts to pull on the dress and threw it off instead. Izuku picked up her discarded clothes from earlier. "Here," she offered. Her face looked sad. Eri hesitantly took them and put them back on, their familiarity making it easier. She stood quietly with her head down until she saw Izuku open her arms through her short white curls. "Do you want a hug?" she asked. Eri worried her lip. She couldn't rewind Izuku. She knew that. She would just turn into her bigger sister if she did. And she was wearing her new quirk gloves. It would be all right. Izuku promised her every time. She nodded, letting herself be wrapped in her sister's arms. She closed her eyes while Izuku told her she was safe. She always said that. Eri was slowly learning to believe it. When she woke up, it was to see her bedroom. Her clock had numbers on it that she didn't understand yet, but the red light told her it was nighttime. She sort of remembered her dad picking them up in their car, but she was asleep most of the time. Now, though, Eri was wide awake, and she could see bird masks and ungloved hands floating on the edges of her vision. Without making a sound, she grabbed her horsey in one hand and crept into Izuku's room. The door didn't creak when she opened it, but Izuku still looked up, face illuminated by the computer screen. Eri knew they weren't allowed to use the computer outside of computer time, but Izuku said she was doing important helper business, so she didn't tell. "Come here," Izuku said, rubbing her eye. She typed a few things before powering off the PC and walked over to her bed. She held up the blanket for Eri to climb in. "Want to talk about it?" Eri shook her head, and Izuku hummed. Flag appeared from somewhere and settled beside them. As Eri gently stroked his fur, Izuku sang. She didn't understand the words, but they sounded nice anyway. Iabusi prodon, le long da son Jordan. This time, when she fell asleep, she knew she was safe. This concludes Chapter 49 of The Second Life of the Guardian. I'm so sorry for that last trying to sing in French. I hope it wasn't too bad. Thanks for everybody for waiting. I took a long break from recording. I'm in the middle of a spring break now, so I'm hoping to record a bit to have like a backload, I guess, of stuff. Here is some of the end notes. The clock I described is a type of children's clock. It has an LED strip around it so that you can program it to be different colors at different times of the day. My brother has one that's green from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. and red from 8 p.m. to 7 a.m. That way they know if it's time to get up or not if they wake up in the middle of the night. It's a genius invention, really. Also, there's a lot of little things people tend to forget that young children don't automatically know. Like, when trying on clothes in public, you're supposed to go to a changing room. That's something we all know. It's something we don't even think about. But for a kid who's pretty much never left the house and had no privacy growing up, it's not as obvious. I hope I displayed that well, but I'm not super confident with this chapter. That's it for now. The next chapter should be up sooner than last time. As always, thank you so much for listening.